तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविव्रीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवनन्ति भुरिदा जनाः. Your words are like nectar, bringing life to scorched souls. They are praised by poets and remove all sin. They are auspicious to hear, wonderful and exalted. Those who spread these words throughout the world are truly giving souls. Welcome, everyone, to our class on the Gospel of Ramakrishna. We are on the chapter M at Dakshineswar, Part 2. It is Saturday, January 5th, 1884. This is the 23rd day of M's stay with Ramakrishna at Dakshineswar, and we're on page 380. It was about 4 o'clock. Rakal and several other devotees were listening to a kirtan by M in the hut at the Panchavati. Now, this is an unusual thing. M was very, very shy. He didn't like to sing in public. Sri Ramakrishna encouraged him and would sometimes tease him, half tease and half scold at his shyness, and encouraged him. He had bought a book of songs of Ram Prasad and Kamalakanta and was learning them. And Sri Ramakrishna was very happy to hear that. So this is a big thing. M is not making much of it, but it's a big thing for M to be leading the kirtan with the others there. Of course, the others were younger. Rakal, we don't know who else. Harish probably. And the Hud at Panchavati. So this is a nice thing. Rakal went into a spiritual mood while listening to the devotional song. After a while, the master came to the Panchavati, accompanied by Baburam and Harish. So they weren't there at that time. They came along with him. Other devotees followed. These are all the people who were staying with Sri Ramakrishna at that time. And different people stayed at different times. So Rakal was with him at that time. Harish was with him. Baburam, I think, had recently come to stay. And M is just finishing that long stay at 23, 24 days at a stretch. Rakal, how well he, referring to M, sang kirtan for us. He made us all very happy. The master sang in an ecstatic mood. Oh friends, how great is my relief to hear you chanting Krishna's name. Yeah, Thakur used to say, Loja Grina Bhoi Tin Taktino. He was against these three things. There's Loja, to have too much of shyness, to get embarrassed too easily and everything, and then hatred and fear. These three things, he said, one shouldn't have. To the devotees, he said, always sing devotional songs. Continuing, he said, to love God and live in the company of the devotees. That is all. What more is there? He said again, and when Krishna went to Mathura, Yashoda came to Radha, who was absorbed in meditation. Afterwards, Radha said to Yashoda, this is a famous type, there are all different types of kirtan. The one type of kirtan is when Sri Krishna leaves Vrindavan and goes to Mathura, and the reaction of the gopis and Mother Yashoda and everything. Afterwards, Radha said to Yashoda, I am the primordial energy. See, Radha was absorbed in meditation. That means she's not in her ordinary state of mind. She just looks upon herself as the beloved, or Krishna as her beloved, and she is as the lover of that relationship. I am the primordial energy. Ask a boon of me. What other boon shall I ask of you? Said Yashoda. Only bless me that I may serve God with my body, mind, and tongue. Of course, she means mostly her Krishna. It looks upon her, not her biological son, but she raised him as her son. That I may behold his devotees with these eyes, that I may meditate on him with this mind, and that I may chant his name and glories with this tongue. But those who are firmly established in God may do as well without the devotees. That means that they can be withdrawn. They can enjoy their own company. They're not dependent upon anyone else. As Ramakrishna was like that. He loved the company of the devotees, but if he was alone, immediately he would go inward. He would have the communion with God dwelling within, with the Divine Mother. But those who are firmly established in God may do as well without the devotees. This is true of those who feel the presence of God, both within and without. Sometimes they don't enjoy the devotees' company. We see this in the case of Narendra at different times. We see it with Hari, with Swami Turiyanandaji. We see it with Swami Shivananda. That those three in particular, that they went through different periods, even during Thakur's life when they didn't come too much. They didn't especially want to mix with anybody, even other devotees. Certain stage of spiritual life, this may come when people just want to be alone. They just want to go deep within. They don't want any type of disturbance at all. Sometimes they don't enjoy the devotee's company. You don't whitewash a wall inlaid with mother of pearl. The lime won't stick. Now, what does this mean? Sometimes they don't enjoy the devotee's company. You don't whitewash a wall inlaid with mother of pearl. The lime won't stick. Anybody? What's that?
Any spiritual talk will not be appreciated.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is that even the company of devotees is nothing compared to the company of the divine presence dwelling within. And even that will be a little bit like just covering over something. We're trying to bring some holy company when that divine presence is within. Something like that. It's not terribly clear to me. The master returned presently from the Panchavati, talking to M.
What is the Bangla?
Bangla.
If it is some proverb.
It may be proverb. I don't know. Sorry, everyone. It should be right here somewhere. Krishna. No, just Ponker Kajurupur, Chun Kam, Forte Jai, Ota Jar Tiniantre Bayre, Tadiat Eiru Bavasta.
Oh, but they may not have heard.
Then they may not know. Anyhow, nothing special. Just it must be just some adage, huh? Sadhu bhai. Yeah. Okay. When the master returned presently from the Panchavati, talking to M, Master, you have the voice of a woman. Can't you practice a song such as this? So that meant he had a little bit of a high voice. Swami Sharadananda also had a high voice. There's a funny incident where some in the early days when everyone had funny ideas about this Varanaga and questioned whether these are real sadhus. These are young men, they could be working and having a job. Maybe they're a bunch of thieves. Who knows what they're doing there? One of them heard, and it sounded like a woman's voice singing. So they said, now we've got them. And he went in. It was Swami Sharadananda. He had a high voice like that. Can't you practice a song such as this? Tell me, friend, how far is the grove where Krishna, my beloved, dwells? That means singing the words of Radha herself. To M, pointing to Babaram, you see, My own people have become strangers. Ramlal and my other relatives seem to be foreigners, and strangers have become my own. Don't you notice how I tell Baburam to go and wash his face? The devotees have become relatives. This is something that I think all of our close devotees understand. This is something we don't have to explain to other people. This becomes very, very clear. Uh, I know I have seven grandnieces and grandnephews and grandnieces. I like them and everything, but all of our summer camp kids, I love those kids. I feel much closer to them than to the whole family. Uh, of course, parents are different, uh, but still, we really form a family relationship with the other devotees who are following the same path, the same spiritual mood, and everything. Very close knit. It's very important. Uh, People wonder uh, how to get that feeling in the center. We have our different Vedanta centers. How to really build up a center. I always feel it's important for the devotees to have a relationship among themselves, to also feel this kind of family relationship, not just with the center with Thakur and Mount Swamiji and everything, but to have that interconnectedness with everyone, all part of one the same family. Looking at the Panchavati, I used to sit there. This is where he did so many spiritual austerities, practiced so many different spiritual moods. I used to sit there. In course of time, I became mad. That phase also passed away. Yeah, this unmad avastha. He used to say it's not real madness; it's divine madness. And he even questioned his own sanity. That he would go uh, months on end with hardly sleeping. He would say sometimes he went 6 years with hardly eating anything, and sleep left him completely. Sometimes he said he would try to close his eyes with his fingers even to make him sleep. So people thought he was mad. He also thought he was mad. He questioned his own sanity. This is when the Brahmani came and explained that no, Radha had all of this, Chaitanya did. Then he was very much relieved. And this is one of the reasons, of course, we see a deeper spiritual significance, but one of the ostensible reasons why he married. His his brothers and his mother all felt that if he were married, that would bring his mind down, worldly duties and everything, that he could lead a more normal type of life. And he agreed, of course. Now, he agreed for not because the reason that they thought, but uh, anyhow, that's the story behind how they arranged his marriage with Holy Mother. So he really acted like a madman in those days. Even later, a madman or a drunkard. That very often he would use that language that he would reel, and when coming down from that state of ecstasy, people would have to hold him. Sometimes he would get annoyed. Don't hold me up; they'll think I'm drunk. If he was in the company of this gentlemen, these uh, well-to-do people of Calcutta. So looking at the Panchavati, I used to sit there. In course of time, I became mad. That phase also passed away. Kala, Shiva is Brahman. That which sports with Kala is Kali, the primal energy. This is one way to understand the meaning of the name Kali. We also understand it as a black in color, but as the consort of Shiva is known as Kala. Kala means time. Kala means death. Uh, Kala is because everything uh, comes into existence in time and is destroyed in time. Time is the great destroyer of everything. So Shiva has that name also. So Kala and Kali, Shiva uh, and uh, and Kali. Kala Shiva is Brahman. That which sports with Kali is Kali, the primal energy. Kali moves even the immutable. Saying this, the master sang, "My mind is overwhelmed with wonder, pondering the mother's mystery. The very name removes the fear of Kala, death himself. Beneath her feet lies Mahakala." Yeah, this is reference to the image we find in the different Kali temples, that you'll see Shiva lying flat. And if you see the Dakshineswar Kali temple, you will only see the matted locks of Shiva's head when you look straight on, and Mother Kali is standing right on his chest. This is supposed to be that union that between this Brahman and its power. Kali is that power of Brahman. She has to be in contact with him to have that to have that power activate. Then he said to M, "Today is Saturday. Saturday and Tuesday, footnote, Saturday and Tuesday are regarded as auspicious days for the worship of the Divine Mother. Today is Saturday. Go to the temple of Kali." As the master came to the buckle tree, he spoke to M again. Chidatma and Chit Shakti. The Purusha is the Chidatma and Prakriti is the Chit Shakti. This, we generally think of this philosophy of Shakti and everything as belonging to the worshippers of the Divine Mother. But the worshippers of Krishna and Radha have the same philosophy, that Radha represents that Shakti in union with Krishna, who is the absolute, and they'll use these different terms the same way. So Chidatma will be Brahman itself. That'll be this pure consciousness, and Chit Shakti, the power associated with consciousness. And generally, Chit Shakti means power to project the universe. But here it's in general, whatever power. They talk about Jiva Shakti, the power to enter into it, uh, different types of manifestations of that same power. This is how that one reality is looked at from two different points of view, and it's always male and female. This is a very common theme here. And so Krishna will represent Purusha, and Radha will represent Prakriti. Prakriti, so it'll have both meanings. It'll have this philosophical meaning as nature or the manifestation, and also female. Purusha and Prakriti, male and female, but also these philosophical meanings of Chidatma and Chit Shakti. So the Purusha is the Chidatma and Prakriti is the Chit Shakti. Sri Krishna is the Chidatma and Sri Radha the Chit Shakti. The devotees are so many forms of the Chit Shakti. This is why they say in Vrindavan there's only one Purusha. We have that story when Mirabai went to Vrindavan and wanted to meet Sanatan. Rupa Sanatan. Rupa Goswami. And he was a very orthodox person of man of renunciation, and Chaitanya Devi was very strict about the mixing of men and women. So he didn't want to see her because she was a woman, Mirabai. And then she said, "Oh, I thought in Vrindavan that there was only one Purusha, Sri Krishna, and everyone else was Prakriti." So he heard that and he was a little bit embarrassed, and then he met her afterwards. Anyhow, this is the story. So from a practical point of view, this means that practicing this Madhura Bhava, looking upon God as the beloved, it means that we think of ourselves as like the gopis, the love they had for Sri Krishna. So it's a mood that is a little counterintuitive for men to think of themselves as women worshiping Sri Krishna. But Thakur did this, of course. He practiced this, and he said that this removes from men that a strong identification with a male body. This is one way to realize ourselves as beyond gender. He didn't recommend it uh, to too many people. His mother Baba is not something we generally he recommended either Dasya Bhava or Santan Bhava. He look upon oneself as a child of God or as a servant of God. Friend of God, others, he said, are all of these are good relationships, but these are the two that he seemed to emphasize most. So the devotees are so many forms of the Chit Shakti. They should think of themselves as companions or handmaids of the Chit Shakti, Sri Radha. So Thakur did uh, this way, but he also did it thinking of himself as a handmaid attendant of Ma Durga when he stayed within Mathura's house. This is the whole gist of the thing. After done, see it, how Sri Ramakrishna ties together the very deep philosophical uh, meaning behind all of this and the devotional element. Because what's more important is that ecstatic love. But he also wants the devotees to understand the deep philosophical significance also. After dusk, Sri Ramakrishna went to the Kali temple and was pleased to see M meditating there. The evening worship was over in the temples. The master returned to his room and sat on the couch, absorbed in meditation on the Divine Mother. M sat on the floor. There was no one else in the room. The master was in samadhi. This, of course, was a very common feature for him after the temple worship, as soon as the sun went down. This period of dusk, twilight, was a dangerous period for him. He could go into samadhi at any time or some ecstatic mood. He began to come gradually down to the normal plane. Now, just picture he's there in samadhi. M is the only one in the room, just sitting there watching him. His mind was filled with the consciousness of the Divine Mother. In that state, he was speaking to her like a small child, making importunate demands on his mother. He said in a piteous voice, "Mother, why haven't you revealed to me that form of yours, the form that bewitches the world? I pleaded with you so much for it, but you wouldn't listen to me. You act as you please." Now, he had so many visions in so many different ways. What he's referring to exactly, we don't know. And how serious he is about complaining to mother. Have and just having fun with mother. The voice in which these words were uttered was very touching. He went on, "Mother, one needs faith." Is he hardly aware that M or anyone is in the room? He's just talking to the Divine Mother. "One needs faith. Away with this wretched reasoning. Let it be blighted." This Vishwasa, Vishwas, was one of the things that Thakur emphasized tremendously, that not the type of faith where we just accept that things without questioning them. If we want to have real conviction, this is Vishwas. I like the translation conviction better. If we want to have conviction about something, then we have to really analyze it, question it, and make sure we understand it. And we have to have tremendous faith in those who tell us things that we haven't yet understood or experienced. So we can develop a certain type of conviction by analyzing things, but it's not the same as having the experience. So the other thing that we do is we see those who have experienced these things, or who have made tremendous spiritual progress, who can speak with some authority, or scriptures, some authority, and we have faith in the words. So generally, we have two terms, Shraddha and Vishwasa. Shraddha means that we have reverence for all of these things, whether we understand or not. We, with great humility, great reverence, we follow the words of the scriptures and of teachers and gurus and everything in order to develop deep conviction. So this conviction comes towards the end. Shraddha has to be there at the very beginning. But this deep conviction of the truth of these things, it comes through a little experience, and when we see him observing the life of Sri Ramakrishna, he sees that he won't say anything that's not true. He won't say anything that he hasn't experienced. He won't tell anybody to accept something that doesn't make any sense. So M has developed this Shraddha for the words of Sri Ramakrishna. In the beginning, he questioned things. But after the second meeting, he said, thankfully, this was my first argument and my last argument with him. So after that, and it's not a question of just saying that I understand. Look at Swamiji. He argued with Sri Ramakrishna, but he never lacked Shraddha. He had that tremendous reverence and faith in him that he didn't just say, oh, this is nonsense, I don't believe any of this. That he would argue in order to understand. And Sri Ramakrishna liked that. He was very appreciative of that attitude. So conviction doesn't come unless we analyze things. The type of conviction that just says that it's written in the scriptures and I heard the Guru say it, so I accept it. That's not based on anything else, can easily be overturned. We ourselves have to analyze these things and think deeply about them. If they don't appeal to our sense of logic, not that logic is the final, but if there's something about it that doesn't make sense to us, then we have to continue to try to understand better. Some things won't make sense by the very nature of it. These are the things that these achintya things, this how this Maya works. Some of those things we won't understand, but very simple things. We get instructions, meditate morning and evening. Why morning and evening? We can argue if we want, just for the sake of being argumentative. But we see how such a long tradition and how these are sacred times and everything. We develop some conviction and we do it ourselves and realize, yes, there's something special about these times. These types of things. He went on, Mother, one needs faith, away with his wretched reasoning. So this is a very strange, very hard to know where to draw the line. Thakur uses the same word, vichara. When we should just say enough of this, these things are beyond the ability of the mind to understand. And when we should say that, no, I have to keep trying to analyze and understand these things better. It's a very fine line between these things. Because Thakur, he's so strong with M. Don't reason anymore. Promise me you won't. So strong with him because he had that type of mind. He thought too much. And others, he says, one constantly reason. What is of value? What is not of value? They're a little bit different realms. One we reason about, other things we understand that are beyond reason. But still, when we do this vichara, part of this discrimination is what really is worth reasoning about and what has to be left aside, what can only be experienced. If it's something the truth of which can only be experienced, that we have to go beyond the mind to experience it, then we leave it aside. If it's something that means we have to sharpen the mind and intellect, then we work on that. And we have to know which is which. See, M questioned certain things when he first came to Sri Ramakrishna. It's really surprising. At least for me, it was very surprising. I had this automatic assumption that during Thakur's time, that any Hindu would accept reincarnation, would accept samskaras, would accept the avatara. I didn't realize how strong the influence of the Brahmo Samaj and the Christian missionaries and everything was, that many questioned those things. And it took a long time for M to accept this idea of samskaras and even rebirth. One time he asked, "Will it harm me if I don't have strong faith in this idea of rebirth?" And Thakur said, "Enough if you understand that everything is possible for God." He left it that way. But then later, of course, M understood all of these things. Swamiji also, because they, from the Brahmo Samaj tradition, they didn't like a lot of things. They didn't like this guru idea. They didn't like this avatar idea. These two things, especially. Away with his wretched reasoning. Let it be blighted. One needs faith. Faith in the words of the guru. Childlike faith. Mother says to her child, a ghost lives there. And the child is firmly convinced that the ghost is there. Now, this faith in the words of the guru. Thakur also says you have to examine the life of the guru before you accept anyone as a guru. Observe by day and by night. Make sure that the life is very pure and they're really a person of high realization. Once we've done that, once we've accepted the guru, then we have to, if we've really accepted them, and then they ask us to do something, we should do it without questioning it too much. If we really have that conviction, they won't ask us to do anything that's not good for us. The mother says to her child, a ghost lives there, and the child is firmly convinced that the ghost is there. Again, the mother says to the child, a boogeyman is there, and the child is sure of it. Further, the mother says, pointing to a man, he is your elder brother, and the child believes that the man is 125% his brother. One needs faith. Now remember, he's talking to the Divine Mother, but and now I think he's very much aware that M is there. So it's really for M, but still talking to the mother. One needs faith, but why should I blame them, mother? What can they do? So this will be M and these Western educated disciples that came to him. It is necessary to go through reasoning once. Yeah, once we understand something, this say I come to this firm conviction that the self within is covered with different upadhis that makes me feel that I'm separate from that real Paramatman, that's my true nature. Once I've understood that, realized that, I don't have to keep going over that over and over and over again. I have to assimilate it. I have to live according to it. I have to act on it, but I don't have to keep going back and reason once I've understood it once. It is necessary to go through reasoning once. Didn't you see how much I told him about it the other day? So this will be M. M's the only one in the room. But it all proved useless. Ultimately not useless, but that meant that it took a while before M could give up this habit of questioning everything. The master was weeping and praying to the mother in a voice choked with emotion. He prayed to her with tearful eyes for the welfare of the devotees. Mother, may those who come to you have all their desires fulfilled. See, this gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, this is something really that we have to place ourselves there. If we can picture these scenes taking place, huh? It's dark, the sun has just gone down. Maybe the lamps are lighted there. M is alone in the room with him, talking to the Divine Mother, saying all of these things. How Thakur could have both of these things at the same time. This tendency for the mind to be absorbed in the Divine Mother, and this tremendous love and compassion for the devotees. And as soon as the mind comes back down, talking to Mother about the devotees. Mother, may those who come to you have all their desires fulfilled. Now, what does it mean, all desires fulfilled? It means fulfill enough desires so that they don't have any more desires. It doesn't mean endless desires. We keep having more desires, keep filling. No, that fulfill desires, it means to end them, come to an end of our enjoyment. But please don't make them give up everything at once. Now, Thakur knew which of his devotees were fit, were destined to lead lives of monks, and which were destined to lead lives of the householders. M. Uh, Not that he questioned his longing to be a monk or his renunciation, but he felt that it was good for him and good for others for him to remain in the world, that he would represent a special example for others of the ideal householder who had the mindset of a sannyasin. But please don't make them give up everything at once, mother. Well, you may do whatever you like in the end. If you keep them in the world, mother, then please reveal yourself to them now and then. Otherwise, how will they live? How will they be encouraged if they don't see you once in a while? But you may do whatever you like in the end. There was an earlier conversation with the Divine Mother, and was there. And Sri Ramakrishna says to the mother, why did you only give him a portion of spiritual power? And he said, oh, now I understand. With that, it'll be enough. It's not clear that he means M, but when we were reading this other, M was saying that he was talking about him and about the role that he had to play. That with that little bit, he'll do great work in the service to the world through this gospel. Not just through the gospel. So many came to him. Many of great monks of our order, when they first came to Kolkata, they went to meet M. Swami Parameshanandaji. He had read the Gospel of Ramakrishna, and the first thing he did when he came to Kolkata was to find out where M lived and met him. Others also, that he was really so highly revered, and he would turn everyone to Sri Ramakrishna. We know that several of the monks were his students also, that Swami Virajanandaji and some others. And there was a whole group of them that used to go to Ramchandra Datta's his garden house, his Jogodhan, and looked upon him as a type of a guru. Whether he actually gave initiation to them or not, he used to give initiation, it seems. But M said to them, yes, that he's a great devotee and everything, but you want to understand Sri Ramakrishna, then you go to Belarmat, actually that Bharanagore, and you meet the monastic disciples. So he encouraged so many who later joined the order. The master was still in an ecstatic mood. Suddenly he said to him, look here, you have had enough of reasoning. No more of it. Promise that you won't reason anymore. And with folded hands, yes, sir, I won't. Master, you have had enough of it. When you came to me the first time, I told you your spiritual ideal. Now, what was M's spiritual ideal? Huh? We get glimpses of it in different places throughout the gospel. One place Ramakrishna asks him, and he says, yes, I like both this Soham idea, and I like this idea of servant of God and everything. And then we read not too long ago that Sri Ramakrishna says very clearly, yes, that you're a worshiper of Shakti. So what he told him in the very beginning, we don't really find that. He gives him, of course, beautiful teachings and everything, but we can't say with certain what things M decided not to write down. He kept his diary. There may have been things that he considered too personal. Once or twice, a few places, we have just that Sri Ramakrishna explained something to M, and he doesn't say what it was. He'll just leave it that way. Anyhow, this is very beautiful, this part. When you came to me the first time, I told you your spiritual ideal. I know everything about you, do I not? M with folded hands. Yes, sir. Now remember, this is the end of this long stay, this long period where he's really molding M. He's making him the perfect instrument for the work that he has to do. Yes, I know everything. What your ideal is, who you are, your inside and outside, the events of your past lives and your future. Do I not? M with folded hands. Yes, sir. Master, I scolded you. I scolded you in learning that you had a son. Now we remember that when uh, M first went to Sri Ramakrishna, they had their first long conversation, and Thakur asked him, "Are you married?" And then he said yes, and they said, "Oh, Ramlal, he's married." And M thought, "Oh, is it such a sinful thing?" And then he said, "Do you have children?" And then said he was shaking at that time that he had to say yes, children. He said, "Oh, Ramlal, even children." And then later he explained, "You see, I see good signs in you. I see signs of being a yogi and everything. This is why I thought maybe you'll be fit candidate to." He was waiting for all of his future monastic children to come. Rakal had already come, Narendra had come earlier, but just a few had come at that time. So I scolded you in learning that you had a son. Now go home and live there. Now this is another theme that runs through the gospel. And uh, right before just before he met Sri Ramakrishna, he had decided to leave home. He was very unhappy. He couldn't get along with his father. His father had married again. Mother died. He had brothers there who weren't very spiritual, the older brothers, and they would make fun of him. And it was a joint family, so he was very unhappy. He decided to leave, and even thought of taking his life. And so throughout the gospel, Sri Ramakrishna is saying that now you're alone, that you have to look after everything for yourself. If you can go back, make up with your father and everything, and live there happily, your mind will be a little free to do your spiritual practice. So it's back and forth a lot. Then finally, says yes, I'm going back, and Thakur was very happy. So and then later he'll move out again, and so this is a kind of a theme that runs through. Now go home and live there. Let them know that you belong to them, but you must remember in your heart of hearts that you do not belong to them, nor they to you. So this is that maidservant idea that we live in the world as if everything belongs to us, family, possessions, and everything, but we know that deep down that everything belongs to God, and that we have our own real family, you can say, uh, in the divine. This is our real home. M sat in silence. The master went on instructing him. Master, you have now learned to fly. So Thakur really considers that this was the end of this training period. Huh? How many days? 23, 24 days. Very important. You have now learned to fly, but keep your loving relationship with your father. Can't you prostrate yourself before him? And with folded hands, yes, sir, I can. Master, what more shall I say to you? You know everything. You understand, don't you? M sat there without uttering a word. Master, you have understood, haven't you? M, yes, sir, I now understand a little. Master, no, you understand a great deal. Rakal's father is pleased about his staying here. Now, why does he bring this up? Huh? It seems like a non sequitur. Huh? It seems a little bit. I was wondering about this. Then I came up with an idea. I don't know if it's right or not, but uh, Thakur is laying the ground. He's the director of this Lila, huh? The director of this play. He's already finished his work with M now, huh? And now he's going to be finishing his work with Rakal. And in order to do that, he wants Rakal to be staying with him. So now he's pleased That it's almost like, yeah, and now you've learned your lesson, you're ready to go, you're ready to fly. And now uh, it's good that Rakal's father is letting him stay here, that now this will be a very important period for him. It's just my guess. Huh? But it's interesting when we first read it, it sounds out of place. Huh? Why does he switch from one to the other? So he says, now, no, you understand a great deal. Rakal's father is pleased about his staying here because in the beginning he was very unhappy. Uh, Thakur had a bad reputation among many of the educated people there, that he was turning the heads of these young boys, that after going to him, they weren't interested in their studies anymore, that they were going to renounce the world somehow. And so they weren't very pleased. Uh, Narendra's family was really uh, unhappy that he went there also. We don't read as much about that. We hear more about Purna and some others, but they really would try to stop him and everything. And so he also had to defy his family quite a bit to go to Sri Ramakrishna. So he had that reputation, and Rakal's father was a worldly man. He was a kind of landlord, huh? And uh, we have a few different occasions when Thakur, when he goes to see Thakur, and Thakur, he doesn't exactly flatter him, but he's very nice to him. And he's very happy to introduce him to some other big shots, uh, those who have powerful positions and everything. And so then he sees that Rakal's father likes to come every once in a while. He can talk to them about business deals and things like that. And deputy magistrates, huh? Some important people who were coming to Sri Ramakrishna. Yeah, but for some reason, at some time, there wasn't such a strong objection. See, marriage in those days is not what we think of marriage. It's not that the husband and wife immediately set up a household and family and everything like that. That she was young. I don't know how old she was, 14, 15, something like that. And they stayed mostly at home. And he would stay mostly at home. And sometimes they would be together, sometimes not. It wasn't exactly what we think of in this country as a typical type of marriage. Yeah, so staying with Sri Ramakrishna almost meant that he wouldn't lead a very traditional type of married life. He never abandoned his wife. These were different times and in different. Uh, it's not like the real sannyasin who leaves home won't look at his wife again. That we know with Swamiji's grandfather, that after 12 years he came back to see the family. That was the tradition after 12 years. That there was one incident where Swamiji's mother, I think, was in Benares, huh? And she slipped or something, and one sadhu was there and saw her fall and helped her up, and saw that it was his wife, and immediately turned away and ran off quickly. And when he came back, they thought they'll trap him in the house, make him come back and live the family life. So he just refused to eat or do anything, just sat in meditation. Then they thought better to let him leave than have him just die there. So they left the door open and he left. So we don't find that with those who were married who came to Sri Ramakrishna. This will be Yogin, Swami Yogananda. This will be Rakal. These were the two mostly. And even when Yogin became Swami Yogananda, his final illness, that Holy Mother persuaded him, if I remember correctly, to let his wife come and nurse him at the end. Huh? Yeah. And Rakal, of course, continued to see his wife and son. He had a son. And then later, the son kept the company of the monks. They also thought he'll become a monk also. But very unfortunately, the wife committed suicide, and the son, he had something happened. He fell and got some infection or something and died at a young age also. So they were married to Swami Shivananda. He was married, but his wife also died very, very shortly after their after their marriage before he came to Sri Ramakrishna at that time. They were the only ones. Huh? Swami Advaitananda, of course, he was much older than all the others. So that's all about Rakal's father is pleased about his staying here. I don't know, pleased, but at least he didn't fight against it anymore. He gave his permission, I guess. M remained with folded hands. Master, yes, what you were thinking will also come to pass. Now we have no idea what this is all about, and M doesn't say anything about it. But obviously, there was some thought in his mind at that time that Thakur knew, and there's no need for them either one to say anything more. Sri Ramakrishna now came down to the normal state of mind. He's still in this ecstatic state, half talking to mother, half talking to M. Rakal and Ramlal entered the room. At the master's bidding, Ramlal sang, "Who is the woman yonder who lights the field of battle? Darker her body gleams, even than the darkest storm cloud, and from her teeth there flash the lightning's blinding flames." This is that image of Mother Kali that we'll get from Chandi, is destroying the demons and everything. He sang again, "Who is this terrible woman, dark as the sky at midnight? Who is this woman dancing over the field of battle?" Master, the Divine Mother and the Earthly Mother. It is the Divine Mother who exists in the form of the universe and pervades everything as consciousness. So now again, we're getting this very deep philosophical understanding of things. For Sri Ramakrishna, this is one side of the Divine Mother. The other side is a highly personal God who talks to him, who is his constant companion, is guiding him, holding him by the hand. He hears her anklets climbing the roof. This is that one idea of mother, and the other one is a highly philosophical idea. Divine Mother who exists in the form of the universe. So this is nature, this Virat, this idea, this whole universe is a manifestation of the divine, like the body of God. This is a Purusha idea, but everything is thought of as the manifestation of Shakti, even though Sri Ramakrishna says very, very often that Brahman alone has become all this. We have to take that as Saguna Brahman together with Shakti. Otherwise, Brahman doesn't do anything. It doesn't change. It's transcendent, pure consciousness. So it'll be that full view of Brahman, Saguna and Nirguna together, which means Divine Mother. It means the Divine Mother. So even the avatar, Sri Ramakrishna will say, this is all the play of Shakti. So that aspect of Brahman, which is beyond Shakti, that's the Shiva lying like a corpse. Shiva is a Shava that way. But in conjunction with this Mother Kali, that idea, then this universe functions. So Mother exists in the form of the universe and pervades everything as consciousness. So everything in this universe has that divine source, and wherever consciousness is found dwelling within any living creature, that's the real presence of Mother there. So this universe projected out of Brahman, and then Brahman dwells within, or out of Mother, we can say, like the spider in the web. The web will be composed of this spider. It comes out of the spider itself, same material. So Mother is the material cause of the universe, and then the spider dwells within everything. So wherever there's consciousness, that's the consciousness of Mother, of the Divine Mother. So this is all about he's talking about Divine Mother and Earthly Mother. The Divine Mother and the Earthly Mother. It is the Divine Mother who exists in the form of the universe and pervades everything as consciousness. The Earthly Mother gives birth to this body. I used to go into samadhi uttering the word Ma, Mother. While repeating the word, I would draw the Mother of the universe to me. as it were, like the fishermen casting their net and after a while drawing it in. When they draw in the net, they find big fish inside. Gaudi, this is Gaudi Pandit. He was one of the great scholars of Thakur's day. He met early on. Gaudi once said that one attains true knowledge when one realizes the identity of Kali and Gauranga. Gauranga here means Chaitanya Deva. And there's a footnote. An uncompromising hostility exists between the devotees of Kali and the devotees of Gauranga. So they two very different types of traditions, and it's not true that this is uh, hostility that's always there, because among Thakur's devotees who would come, we find equally enjoying songs to Chaitanya Deva and songs about Mother Kali and everything. So this will be in certain very sectarian areas, some villages and things, that there'll really be some type of hostility, partly because the mood is so different, partly because with Gauranga, uh, everything is sweetness and loving and kind and none of this dark element. The Mother Kali, we have that she is the source of everything, good and bad, a source of evil, everything in this universe. That the Vaishnavas worshiping Gauranga, that they won't touch non-vegetarian food, and worshippers of Mother Kali constantly cutting off the heads of goats. There's just such a different way of approaching spiritual life that very often they just clashed, that there wasn't too much of an overlap. Because of Sri Ramakrishna, we can appreciate both attitudes equally. Both are beautiful attitudes. So there are all these different songs and different traditions about not Kali and Gauranga, Kali and Chaitanya, but Kali and Krishna uh, as the identity of the two of them. They're very touching, beautiful songs. That oh, the mother, what happened to your garland of skulls? Now I see you're wearing your garland of wildflowers. That means it's Krishna, because both have that dark complexion. Ishama Shama. Uh, this- so Gaudi. One said that means that one becomes universal, that one sees the same divinity manifest in different ways, worshipped in different forms, with different spiritual moods and attitudes. One attains true knowledge when one realizes the identity of Kali and Gauranga. That which is Brahman is also Shakti. So that which is Brahman is also Shakti, Kali. It is that again which, assuming the human form, has become Gauranga. So if we say that the avatar comes from the Shakti aspect, then we'll also have that identification. Otherwise, traditionally, we'll say Vishnu. But Vishnu also represents one of the powers. We have creation, preservation, and dissolution. So from uh, point of view of the Shaktis, that'll be also from Shakti. It is that again which, assuming the human form, has become Gauranga. At the master's request, Ramlal sang again, this time about Gauranga. Yeah, to me it's so interesting. We have sometimes instances where the Durga Puja is going on. It happened in Surendra's house. All the songs are about Gauranga, all Krishna songs and everything. Then finally at the end, Surendra says, worship of mother. Should we have at least one song? And then Thakur sings some songs about Divine Mother. Because uh, Thakur's mind, there was no difference. It just depended on what triggered something in his mind, what the mood was. Master 2M. The Nitya and the Lila are two aspects of the reality. This is the absolute and the relative. We can easily understand that from one point of view, that says, say we take a ocean, from one point of view, or river, one point of view, it's water, everything exactly the same. another point of view, that the river will have a certain course that he takes. It'll have banks. It'll different colors. If any of you have been to Allahabad, the Triveni, if you go to where the Ganga comes from one side and the Yamuna from the other side, they're two different colors. The one is like a light green, the other a light blue, and then they mingle together. But the water is the same. From the point of view of water, there's no distinction whatsoever. So the one are the same. It's not that they're two separate rivers or anything like that. From the point of view of water, there's no distinction. From the point of view of the attributes, the appearance, we can make lots of different distinctions. So this Nitya is this absolute. And we have the same thing with Shankaracharya, this Pratibhasika point of view and Vyavaharika. We can see things from the absolute point of view that Brahman alone exists. Even the scientists, they can break everything down to energy, huh? Or to just a combination of atoms and things like that. Uh, they won't deny that everything has a shape and a form and a color. Huh? Just looking at it from two different points. The same chair, looked at from two different ways. So the Nitya and the Lila are the two aspects of the reality. God plays in the world as man for the sake of his devotees. This is that Lila. So Lila also has that meaning of when God comes in human form, and we see this play that all these other great souls are there, and everything seems to be in place, and a great, tremendous wave of spirituality floods the world after. Usually, they're not recognized during their lifetime. Afterwards, we see this tremendous effect that takes place. God plays in the world as man for the sake of his devotees. They can love God only if they see him in a human form. This is also this idea of loving God, that we have to have human form, or at least human qualities. We have to think of God as a loving God, then God has to at least have love and compassion, something like that. But we add a human form. Think of God manifest in the human form as the avatar. Then we feel some real type of connection. Even those traditions that uh, have a formless aspect of God, say Sufi tradition. Sufi tradition, formless aspect of God, and yet God is the beloved. So the superimposed upon that attributeless nature of Brahman will be some feeling, the same type of feeling that the lover has in search of the beloved. That'll be there also somehow. So it's not a human form, but it's some humanness gets added to it so that we can relate to it. They can only see God if they see him in a human form. Only then can they show their affection for him as their brother, sister, father, mother, or child. It is just for this love of the devotees that God contracts himself into a human form. Yes, well, one way of trying to understand how that the infinite reality takes some finite form, contracts himself into a human form, and descends on earth to play his Lila. Okay, very significant. These two chapters. This is the end of M's long stay with Ramakrishna at Dakshineswar. We'll start next time with chapter 19, the Master and his injured arm. Page 383. Om Niranjanam Nityamanandarupam Bhaktanukam Bhathura Ishavataram Parameshampetyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namah. We bow our heads before Sri Ramakrishna, who is stainless, of infinite nature, whose heart melts in sympathy for his devotees, who is an embodiment of the divine and the Supreme Lord, and ever worthy of our worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto you. Yesterday, 12th, was Swamiji's birthday, according to the Western calendar, and what is it? National Youth Day. Huh? Yeah. So big celebrations in India. Tomorrow, already starting to now in India, is Thakur's birthday, TT, according to TT, and we'll have our puja on Sunday. So everybody within, huh? Swamiji. What did I say? Oh, not to Swami. Sorry, Swami Vivekananda. Yeah, yeah. So everyone is, of course, welcome to come and join us for that if you can. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I could do that.
Okay.